Tonight, countdown to a high-stakes bidding war for Canada's next generation of submarines. CTV News on the ground in South Korea.
It's a big procurement. This is going to be a relationship with the winner for years, decades to come.
An up-close look at the pitch and the competition for the massive contract. The mother of a high-profile American morning show host vanishes.
That's a challenge for us, and it's something we just want her back.
What police are divulging about the moments before her disappearance. And a final launch rehearsal ahead of the next moon mission.
Now there's an actual rocket on the launch pad pointing in the right place.
What's at stake for NASA and Canada?
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news from Alberta, where a junior hockey team has confirmed 3 of its players have been killed in a crash while traveling to practice. RCMP say a large semi collided with a car near the small town of Staveley around 11 a.m., about an hour south of Calgary. The Southern Alberta Mustangs released a statement saying, "There are no words that can adequately express the depth of our grief. These young men were more than hockey players. They were teammates, sons, brothers, friends, and deeply loved members of our Mustangs family and the communities we call home." The players have been identified as 17-year-old Caden Fine of Alabama, 18-year-old Cameron Casorso, and 18-year-old JJ Wright, both from Kamloops, BC. Turning now to other news, and a rare look tonight at one of 2 main contenders in the race for a lucrative Canadian submarine contract. As of today, Germany's TKMS and South Korea's Hanwha each have exactly 1 month to submit a final proposal. CTV's senior national correspondent Judy Trin with more on the South Korean pitch.
A deep dive into what could be the biggest defense procurement in Canada's history. The purchase of up to 12 submarines.
Because this has now evolved into a government-to-government situation. It's a big procurement. This is going to be a relationship with the winner for years, decades to come.
To persuade, the South Korean Navy plans to sail the KSS-3 submarine across the Pacific and dock in British Columbia, a journey that will take 2 months.
Hands up here. Okay.
CTV News also got to see Hanwha's pitch up close. We couldn't film because of security protocols, but the attack submarine holds about 50 sailors. It launches vertical missiles that target land and has torpedoes. But the deciding factor will rest on economic benefits. To win the contract, Hanwha is pledging to help hard-hit businesses, like investing $345 million in Algoma, to buy its steel and help it build a plant to make beams.
It's been tough as tariffs have been in place for a year and half of our business has gone away.
While some companies are hurting, others are looking for ways to expand. Using robotic technology, Hanwha builds 45 ships annually on its assembly line. Speed, Ontario's shipyards want to emulate.
I mean, what they do here is cutting edge. It's absolutely fantastic. If we can bring just a fraction of that to Canada, I think us as a country would be a lot further ahead in our shipbuilding endeavors.
The deadline for Hanwha and TKMS to submit their bids is March 2nd. It's a deal that could be worth $100 billion spread over more than 3 decades. It's investment that Canada needs to protect itself from Donald Trump's trade war. Omar.
CTV's Judy Trin in Kojay, South Korea. Judy, thank you. Canada is also looking to protect its sovereignty and economic interests in the Arctic. That's why Churchill, Manitoba, 1,000 kilometers north of Winnipeg, has become so important. CTV's Alison Bamford is there tonight.
Those who've lived in Churchill, Manitoba long enough remember the days of a bustling port.
Churchill and the port are pretty synonymous with each other.
Joe Stover worked there for 10 years at the tail end of its glory days.
That was going to be my retirement job.
The port currently operates just 4 months of the year. Ottawa has flagged it as a transformative project known as the Port of Churchill Plus. The project would upgrade it to a year-round multi-commodity hub, connecting Western Canada to the north and the Atlantic through Hudson Bay.
It would mean everything. It would mean everything to get people back to work and have an opportunity for our youth to stay here if they choose and make their living here.
Since the port slowed, tourism has become the main economic driver.
In a given year, we have upwards of 25,000 visitors that come to Churchill.
They're flocking to the polar bear capital of the world for the wildlife and the northern lights. The Chamber of Commerce says any port upgrades would have to strike a balance with the tourism industry.
Churchill has a lot of land-based research. I've had it for many years, and we're also gaining water-based research. And so right now is a great time to put that all together.
Manitoba's premier is set to visit the remote community tomorrow to hear what residents have to say about the port's future, which for right now is still not set in stone. But community leaders say it's time to act.
Diversification is critical, it's key. We can't succeed on just tourism.
Manitoba's premier will touch down on the frozen tundra tomorrow. On the agenda, talking tourism, marine conservation, and a town hall with residents before he plans to play some hockey with the locals. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Churchill.
Two former Canadian prime ministers from different political stripes came together to discuss Canadian sovereignty. CTV's senior political correspondent Michael Couture on what they said.
We're political opponents, but we're not enemies.
A message of collaboration and unity at a time of nationalism and deep division around the world. Former Prime Ministers Stephen Harper and Jean Chrétien saying despite challenges to Canada's sovereignty, there is hope.
I think the reality is federal government manages this country right, puts the stress on unity and not on ideological tangents, and there's no reason why we can't pull the country together at this moment.
While a separatist party seems poised to form government in Quebec, that's not the province Chrétien is concerned about.
The desire to have a referendum is very low in Quebec. Don't know what the hell is going on in Alberta.
I didn't sign the petition.
The two men came together as former Prime Minister Harper was recognized by the Royal Canadian Geographical Society for his career in public service. It coincides with celebrations of the 20th anniversary of the Conservatives forming a minority government in 2006. And Harper sees similarities even 2 decades later.
I believe that in the geopolitical circumstances I was taking office in, that there were long-run threats to the North were actually quite serious. I think I've been borne out in that regard. I didn't anticipate them being our southern neighbor.
Chrétien described that threat from the U.S. as a big shift, and he took it one step further.
It is probably what I would call the beginning of the end of the American empire. And it has to come. All the empires change.
Former Prime Minister Harper added, at a time like this, politicians on this side of the border should pick their battles. But on something like Canadian sovereignty, he says they need to work together. Omar?
All right, Mike, thank you. The Liberal government's bill aimed at providing GST relief to help with the cost of groceries will be fast-tracked through Parliament after MPs voted unanimously on a Conservative motion today.
We have a crisis in this country for millions of families and millions in line at a food bank, and we want to see real relief.
Despite support for that bill from the Conservatives, opposition leader Pierre Poilievre is calling for an urgent meeting with the Prime Minister. CTV News has learned that meeting is expected to take place this week. And a familiar name in Canadian politics has resigned his seat in the House of Commons to take on a new role on the international stage. Liberal MP Bill Blair, whose previous cabinet roles include Minister of Defence and Public Safety, will become Canada's new High Commissioner to the United Kingdom this spring. Blair also previously served as Toronto's Chief of Police. The RCMP says more than 400 of its members were accused of misconduct last year. The cases range from improper social media posts to sexual misconduct and even criminal code offenses. 29% of cases required remedial disciplinary measures, while more than 40% required a corrective response like special training. Nearly 1/4 of cases resulted in serious measures, such as being docked pay or declared ineligible for promotion, and 5%, or approximately 22 cases, resulted in termination. The 408 accused Mounties make up less than 2% of the RCMP's total workforce. Pre-trial motions in the sexual assault trial for one of Canada's richest men happened behind closed doors today. Frank Stronach preparing to face some of the allegations leveled against him by multiple women. Here's CTV's John Woodward.
A relaxed Frank Stronach walked out of Toronto Superior Court Monday, exchanging words with the media.
How are you?
The billionaire's affable demeanor didn't impress Jane Boone, who was just a 19-year-old intern at Magna International in the 1980s when she last saw Stronach, the company's leader.
It was very odd seeing him shuffling by. He was such a dynamic and forceful presence when I was a student. He was the star of Magna, and now he's a little old man.
She claimed in a recently filed lawsuit that Stronach took her to dinner and then had sex with her, allegations the billionaire and his company deny. She's not among the complainants in this first set of criminal charges to be heard at Toronto Superior Court, but hopes to support them in a trial of one of Canada's richest men who, one complainant told CTV News, used his power and leadership position to find women for sex.
He wasn't my employer anymore. He was my abductor. He was my rapist.
The allegations from 13 women relate to incidents as far back as 1977, before the current definition of sexual assault was made law. Magna International started its own investigation into what may have happened on company property. That was in 2024. When we checked in with them today to see if they have any findings, they told us they have nothing new to report. The courtroom closed Monday as lawyers wrangled over pretrial motions in what will be a trial by judge, which observers say could be a strategic move.
There's a lot of public perceptions as it relates to the Me Too movement, as it relates to wealthy men who in the past are alleged to have committed criminal offenses. Part of the calculus may be that with a judge who's trained in the law will be followed.
Boone hoping the justice system is fair to the complainants.
My own experience was pretty awful, so I'm hopeful that it won't be too upsetting for them.
Stronach's lawyers have said he plans to fight the allegations when the trial begins. John Woodward, CTV News.
South of the border, both Clintons have capitulated and agreed to testify on Capitol Hill in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, an outcome the House Oversight Committee has been seeking. The decision coming ahead of a planned vote this week to hold the former first couple in contempt. The Clintons have not been accused by officials of wrongdoing. At the Grammys last night, Trevor Noah made an Epstein joke referencing Donald Trump's recent interest in Greenland.
Epstein's island is gone. He needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton.
Trump today threatening to sue Noah.
He made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that.
Police in Arizona say the disappearance of American TV host Savannah Guthrie's mother is now being investigated as a crime. Here's CTV's Joy Malbin.
We begin tonight with a story that hits too close to home for our newsroom. The mother of our colleague, Savannah Guthrie, has gone missing from her Arizona home.
The search is on for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mom of NBC's Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, who was absent from Monday's broadcast. Arizona police telling reporters Nancy Guthrie did not leave her Tucson home willingly. They believe she might have been abducted.
We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime.
Police don't believe it was a robbery or home invasion gone wrong, but the search, they say, is urgent. Guthrie has physical challenges and requires daily medication.
We don't need another bad, tragic ending. We need some help. Nancy Guthrie is of great sound mind. This is not a dementia related. She is as sharp as a tack.
On social media, questions are being asked, and there's speculation. Was this something darker or even targeted? Others expressing shock and sympathy, an outpouring of support from the NBC family, who read a statement from Savannah on air this morning.
I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear mom.
The FBI is now involved in assisting the search, deploying drones, search dogs, and appealing to the community to report anything suspicious, hoping it will lead to the safe return of Nancy Guthrie soon. Omar?
All right, Joy, thank you. And back here at home, medical staff are evacuating Kashechewan First Nation in northern Ontario. Most residents are already gone after major problems with the water treatment plant. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver takes a look at who's left.
There are only about 370 people left in Kashechewan, a fly-in community of 2,300. And soon, getting medical care will be more complicated. Indigenous Services Canada says the local nurses are expected to leave today.
Once the confirmation of the cryptosporidium was in the water supply, Health Canada, I think, and their health teams decided that they have to remove their nurses out of the community. The paramedics will follow.
Their departure comes days after the parasite cryptosporidium was found in the water, the same parasite that caused gastrointestinal distress in more than 60 residents. The outbreak linked to the breakdown of the water treatment system that last month sent sewage into people's homes and contaminated the fresh water.
We're trying to kind of develop solutions for the water plant and trying to figure out a timeline. However, we're still kind of working out those details.
Various government departments are assisting with the community's efforts to fix the problem. But even then, Wesley says trust has been broken.
I think a lot of people will have a lot of difficulty trusting the water system moving forward. I think there's a lot of traumatic experiences.
A response dozens of communities sadly know all too well. 38 reserves across Canada are currently living under active long-term boil water advisories.
We have to get to a point where there are no more water advisories in First Nations communities across the country, and that we're looking to close those gaps. And it shouldn't matter where you are in Canada, you should have access to clean, drinkable water.
Indigenous Services Canada says nurses will return to Kashechewan whenever residents do. They also say alternative care plans are in place, and that includes a 45-minute drive, Omar, to a neighboring community hospital.
All right, Annie, thank you. Overseas, dozens of Palestinians are expected to leave or return to Gaza today after Israel reopened the Rafah crossing, the only pedestrian crossing to Egypt. The reopening is on a limited and trial basis and marks a major step in the U.S.-backed plan meant to end the Israel-Hamas war. Palestinian medical evacuees, including those wounded in the war, are expected to be among those leaving Gaza for treatment abroad. The path to Egypt had been largely shut for nearly 2 years. Coming up.
This is just a really exciting moment for the world, but it's especially exciting for Canada.
Anticipation builds for Artemis 2. What has to happen to get the green light to launch? A crucial test is underway in Florida where a massive rocket has been fueled up and could blast off as early as Sunday, carrying Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen into space. Here's CTV's John Vanavelli-Rao.
After rolling out to the launch pad 2 weeks ago, this massive NASA rocket's now undergoing a final critical test. What's called a wet dress rehearsal, loaded with fuel during a practice countdown. And depending on how things go, Canadian Jeremy Hansen could blast off in less than a week, with the moon mission seeming like it could finally happen.
Now there's an actual rocket on the launch pad pointing in the right place, and there's the moon somewhere not, kind of lined up. And now we're actually putting fuel on it.
There were no astronauts on board today. All 4 remain in quarantine, awaiting the green light for a launch attempt. A mission that'll see them go on a 10-day lunar flyby on a rocket and capsule that have never carried people before, with Hansen set to become the first non-American ever to go around the moon.
To see our beloved Jeremy Hansen going up there, Canadian, this is just a really exciting moment for the world, but it's especially exciting for Canada.
The Artemis rocket did suffer a fuel leak today, but the team seemed to work around the problem. It could potentially launch on the 8th, 10th, or 11th, failing that early March or April, with the astronauts prepared to fly on Sunday.
The crew are assuming that's their launch date, so they will be ready.
All that as concerns are again being expressed about the Orion capsule's heat shield, which during an uncrewed test in 2022 was damaged unexpectedly during re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere.
Enormous chunks of the heat shield came off. Fortunately, not enough to cause catastrophic failure, but certainly enough to send alarm bells ringing all over NASA.
Some think the risk is unacceptable, but NASA has said if astronauts had been on board, they would have survived, and it has since modified the re-entry angle. Meanwhile, NASA has said it won't set a specific launch date until it has reviewed the data from today's test, which could take another day or two. John Vanavelli-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead.
And the Grammy goes to...
Meet the Canadian college professor who just won a Grammy. A setback for Canada's Olympic figure skating team. 2024 world champions Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps will not compete in the team event at Milan Cortina. The Canadian Olympic Committee says Stellato-Dudek was injured during training. Canadian champions Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud will compete in the pairs portion of the team event instead. A music professor from Toronto's Humber Polytechnic was among a handful of Canadians honored at the 68th Annual Grammy Awards.
To Toronto, to Canada, we love you. Music is a gift that we all share, and can we maintain and just continue to uplift each other through this beautiful art form? Thank you.
Justin Gray won the Grammy for Best Immersive Audio Album. Not only is he the first Canadian to win the category, he is the first ever to be nominated. Gray worked with 38 artists from Toronto to create his Grammy-winning work, titled Immersed. Still ahead, serving up a celebration. The unique fact making Black History Month in PEI especially significant. It is Black History Month, and tonight we're taking a look at the growing Black population in Prince Edward Island and how Islanders are marking the occasion. Here's CTV's Maria Saru.
Lunch is served. Fried plantains, Jamaican chicken, rice and beans, and samosas as a long line of students fill plates and grab a seat. Earlier, the Pan-African flag was raised outside to celebrate the start of Black History Month at UPEI.
Being Black students on campus, we do feel that every space is a space for us to be welcomed and felt included.
Erica Ndugu-Chalo with the Student Union says a growing Black community on campus and beyond is helping build a stronger sense of belonging. The island's Black population more than doubled between the last two censuses, from about 825 people in 2016 to 1,815 in 2021. And that number is likely bigger now. It means more chances to gather and celebrate, says the Black Cultural Society's Raquel Smith.
It's probably a breath of fresh air, to be honest. Sometimes people are, not knowledgeable that the Black community exists or that it has grown over the years, but it does.
Awareness can lead to curiosity, and that's how cultural understanding spreads. One conversation, one event, one plate at a time.
It's very encouraging to see the community wanting to learn more about our culture and also getting really excited to try our foods that are very, I would say, exquisite.
This reception is just the start of celebrations on campus with movie nights and cultural showcases still to come. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
And that's a snapshot of this Monday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night and see you tomorrow.